Good evening, Internet, and welcome to Top Shift 137. It's subtitled Elite Dangerous. Where are we now? Well, to say that Elite Dangerous Odyssey, or Elite Dangerous in general, has had an easy time of it in the last year, or since the launch of Odyssey, is an understatement. A big understatement. I'm thankfully, I can now say wholeheartedly, and I've been able to say this probably since the beginning of the year, that the vast majority of the issues that I've had with Odyssey have now been fixed. For those of you who follow me on Live Radio and also on Twitch, know that I've been more positive about this game than most. Mostly because I didn't get hit with the performance problems that a lot of other people got hit by. And in addition to that, the gameplay that I was playing didn't get hit by the performance issues either. So when all this started, I was mostly doing what I'm doing now, which was going exploring and seeing what plant life there was, which, believe it or not, is quite a relaxing sort of experience. I put it the equivalent of MMO fishing, if you see what I mean, because, well, you're kind of fishing for plants. At the moment, I'm looking for bacterium, which is actually probably the most difficult thing to look for. And yeah, I got my ship over here. So yes, this video, we are a week away from update 13. Now this is part of Frontier's, actually put it, their update strategy for this year, which has involved basically narrative updates. Update 13 will be the second narrative update. There'll be another more massive narrative update in November, and finally there'll be a major function rehaul where they're going to take one part of the game and rework it, coming in early 2023. Now, yeah. Now, we've lost a lot. I'm not going to lie, we have lost a lot of players because Odyssey, for whatever design decisions that Frontier were taking at the time, has made them has made them leave. There's no way to sugarcoat that. But then again, some of the reasons why these guys have left have got me scratching my head. I mean, obviously, the performance problems, yeah. Some of the stuff that was happening there was completely awful. And then there was, at the beginning of the year, there was the news which hurt Elite Dangerous, I think, quite a lot, which was the fact that Odyssey was not coming to the console versions. Now, it's quite simple to explain this, is that Odyssey is a lot more complicated than Horizons, or Horizons/Beyond is. There's a lot more going on underneath the hood. And when you think about it, they're updating a modern, a 7-year-old game to more modern standards. And that 7-year-old game ain't going to work on the consoles. They tried. But there's also a combination of rules with the consoles. So if you launch a DLC like Odyssey, it has to run on existing systems. And after the debacle that was Cyberpunk 2077, they tightened up their rules. And the main issue was that, especially now, they couldn't get it running at a decent rate on the equivalent PC. Even if you knocked all the settings down to lowest, you were still getting a horrendous frame rate. And I I think they looked at that and went, it's never going to get Microsoft and Sony were never going to let it through. And that, unfortunately, is the reason why we don't have Odyssey on console. There's a lot of people saying, well, why don't you just bring it out on the new consoles? And again, they're hit by legal reasons that, you know, it exists in the previous console, so they have to make it available on the previous console. If they were supposed to do, I don't know, a brand new version of Elite Dangerous and release that on the new consoles as a new product, then yes. But it would mean everybody on console have to starting all over again, and you can just imagine what the furore over that would be. So they've taken the difficult decision to cancel the console version, of Odyssey. They haven't actually cancelled Elite Dangerous itself, but yeah. However, for the PC player going forward, we're also going to have Horizons to be updated to use the new Odyssey tech, or you're going to have the option rather. Now this is because whatever's coming after Update 13, which is this big narrative update in November, is going to be only handled by the Odyssey engine. They're going to make the old Horizon engine still available, but you won't be able to get involved as much with the plot going forward, which is understandable because at the moment they're having to work with two code bases in order to generate content, and you can tell that that's slowing them down. Now, this is controversial because there are a lot of people who do not like the Odyssey planetary tech. Personally, I've found it completely the opposite. It's got me into exploring as opposed to turning me off, but that's just my opinion. At the moment, my exploration commander is halfway out to Colonia, and this is after a year of doing a year after Odyssey's launch. In fact, more. It's 15 months, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm only halfway to Colonia because basically I'm stopping and doing this, which is basically plant scanning, which is, like I said, very nice and relaxing. But like I said, a lot of people don't like the way that the terrain has been generated, even though I must admit, especially in places like this, I find it fantastic. I mean, most of the complaints cycle around the older planets, the non-atmospheric planets, where they say the repeated terrain comes up. Personally, ever since the art patch, I think it was an update 6 or 7, they put in an art patch to add more variety, and ever since then, I don't think I've had a problem with the terrain gathering at all. I think out of the whole explorations that I've done on my way to Colonia, I've only ever seen 2 of these repeated patterns, which ironically, when you see them, they're pretty obvious, but like I said, it's a case of... Oh, hang on. There we go. But they are a lot fewer and further between than they were right at the beginning of the game. Now, it's taken Frontier, I think, an additional 6 months to make Odyssey stable, but during that 6 months, the player numbers just, well, that was it for a lot of people, and it's a bit of a shame because they're actually missing out on a vastly improved experience. Oh, need some iron. Oh, there goes my ship. All this because I'm looking for bacterium, which is of course the hardest thing to spot because it's going to be a grey patch. Oh, and there's me and my big goblin. I've just spotted some. Yeah, it's a grey patch on an orange planet. I'll just also point out that spotting these grey patches of bacterium on a snow planet is a lot more difficult. Ooh. Boing. Now, controversially, you're still going to be able to play in old school Horizons. They're still going to allow Horizons to be accessible. But Odyssey Horizons, or 4.0 as it's called, will be the place where all the content or narrative content will happen. And in addition to that, you also get the Scorpion, which is the other SRV which we got with Update 9. It's a fantastic piece of kit. I mean, that for alone is enough for me to upgrade. But like I said, I don't have the same problem with Odyssey or the Odyssey tech as some people have got. Hang on, where's my... Ah, there it is. Pressing the wrong button. So we'll just sample that. Yeah, that's worth a lot of money for me. Even though someone's already got it. So, oh, hang on, let's have a look around. It's funny, once you manage to get your 3, all of a sudden, you spot them blooming everywhere. So, yes, we've got the latest narrative update, Update 13, coming at the end next week. And let's just say that the actual plot for the last 3 months has actually been quite good. It does feel as if they're stretching it out a little bit, but the player engagement is up, which is always good to see. It's been a while since we've seen the player numbers go up on Steam, so, you know, that's always a good sign. Oh, I've already got the tussock. So we don't need the tussock there. Yeah, great. What I am looking for is Ocessus, which I guess we'll have to wait and see whether I find some later. Yeah, and you've got me here on a carbon dioxide planet, which is why you've got this wonderful green and red sun. And some of the atmospheric planets, especially at sunrise and sunset, it's absolutely breathtaking. I mean, now that the frame rate has been fixed, you can really appreciate what the engine can actually do. Which is, you know, like I said, a shame that people don't give Odyssey the chance now that it's more mature. So, the plot. Well, the plot is quite simple. The Thargoids are fighting in a big way with this Azimuth Salvation guy who claims to be able to wipe them out. So he's basically setting bait in this very system that we're at, HIP 22460. He's got a super weapon which he claims will wipe out the Thargoids. And at the moment there are combat zones, Thargoid combat zones, everywhere through this system. And the Thargoid combat has been made easier and a lot more fun for this particular event. I mean, there have been complaints of some bugs where capital ships are stealing kill numbers and things like that. But in general, it's been a really uplifting and fun experience. And if they can continue with this momentum, I think that they could actually turn people's heads again. Now, what's that? That's the stratum. I've already got that. So let's have a quick look at what I've got and what I need. A lot of the problems people have had with, between the two versions is the interfaces here. The interfaces for the Galaxy map and the system map were completely redesigned, and I admit that there are still some issues with performance on some of them. However, I will say that now that the vast majority of them have been fixed, and once you get used to the layout, it's far more logical. It's just there is that horrible, painful crossover period, and that is the issue. I remember in all of the MMOs, once you change the UI in a major way, there's an awful lot of pain that the community has to go through in order to get used to the new system. And yeah, it was painful. It's not now. Problem is, I think it takes a month to get used to the quirks. I mean, but the last system maps and stuff weren't exactly perfect either. So at the moment we have. Oh, Lucosa's got a lot of these. I know Lucosa. He's a nice gentleman. Right. So we've got 3 unidentified organics left. Now we know that one of them. So we've got the stratum, we've got the tussock, we've got the bacterium, we've got the Cactoidea lepis. So the Acessus is the next one we want. Now, I'm supposed to have landed in the area where there's supposed to be that, but I haven't seen any yet. They are quite rare. So I might have to take off and land again. So, I mean, the upshot of all this is, I mean, at the moment, this is what we suspect is going to happen. We're going to have update 13 hit. Now, update 13 will involve a conclusion to this Azimuth storyline, and there's a lot of hope that there's actually going to be some new assets to muck about with and play with. People have been getting quite excited about the Thargoid combat zones, and they're hoping that, we might see a Thargoid mothership, or there might be something that will come along as part of this update. And to tell you the truth, it does feel quite hopeful in Elite Dangerous for the first time in quite a while. And then we've got the major narrative update happening in November. Now, a lot of people have got the smart, are putting their smart money down on that's when we will have on-foot Thargoid combat, where we have on-foot Thargoids defending or attacking settlements, and people are I think they're expecting that, and if Frontier are not going to deliver that, then they really need to be setting the expectations for that now, so people do not get horrendously disappointed. It's one of those things that we'll just have to wait and see. I'm hoping that they do it. I'm hoping that there are more assets and things to come. But apparently, one of the reasons why they have stretched out this last bit of the Azimuth storyline is because people have been enjoying the Thargoid combat zones a lot. Watching the capital ships take on some of the major Thargoids is a really nice thing to see, and there's been player pushback against some of the more how shall I put it, the individual Salvation who has got us into this situation has engaged in morally dubious acts, and some of the community have pushed back against that, which is good to see, because it's community engagement at its best. And more importantly, people are enjoying it. So the upshot of all this at the moment with Elite Dangerous is that we've got updates coming. They're not going to be anything on the size of Odyssey. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again, because Odyssey has it was so much work and so big. I don't know whether or not Frontier have the appetite or the finances to be able to do another update like that again, because as everybody knows, Odyssey's not sold as well as it should have done. They've had to cut back on the budget quite a bit, especially when you look at some of the financial records that have been published lately. I mean, there is the No Man's Sky jealousy that's happening quite a lot, because No Man's Sky is getting update after update after update, and FDev don't seem to be matching that with Horizons. The point I had to make about that is that No Man's Sky's taken 5 years to turn itself around. It took 3 years to get decent, and then it's taken another 2 years to get good. I mean, it's a great game now. It's a pity that I find the I still put it. I still have a problem with the flight model. That's why I'm still playing Elite Dangerous, because I like the flight model better. But the rest of the game's great. And yes, there's certainly some things that I'd love to see in here. Hang on. Oh, that's from the ship trails, isn't it? I was just trying to work out what that thing in the sky was then. But look up, you can see the... Oh, it's gone. Yeah, it must have been the ship trail contrails. Anyway, the upshot of all this is Elite Dangerous has turned its corner, just like No Man's Sky did, and is starting to get good again. And I would actually say, if you've been away from Elite Dangerous and you've not really touched it since the Odyssey launch, I think now's a really good time to come back and give it another try. As I said, the performance problems are mostly gone. The gameplay aspects and the bugs which really wound people up have mostly gone. I will say there's still probably a little bit of pain as you get used to the new interface, but and as far as the planetary tech's concerned, I'd say give it another chance, because especially on these atmospheric planets, it really is very beautiful. And as far as the narrative or the plot that's going forward, it has been engaging. So my upshot of us, yes, it's Elite Dangerous is in a lot better place, which it was certainly at launch, and it's certainly in a lot better place than it was at the beginning of the year, despite the unfortunate news about the consoles. So I would now say, yep, if you have fallen away from Elite Dangerous, I think now is the time to come back and give it a second chance. And yeah, if that's the case, I'm going to leave you all for the moment, and I'll catch up with everyone either on a Twitch stream or at Live Radio.